And so we have our 2025-2026 NFL playoff predictions. The playoffs start tomorrow, Saturday, January 11th. But we will go ahead and start with our 7-2 seed in the AFC. We have our Los Angeles Chargers at the New England Patriots. And that word "at" is very important. We have them playing in Foxborough. Definitely a very different climate for Los Angeles, for the Chargers team. And we also have a very big difference in our win percentage. We have a 14-3 Patriots team and an 11-6 Chargers team. And we've seen Drake May and the Patriots shut out many games where they've blown out other teams, whether they be good or bad, and have many impressive fourth quarter wins. And I don't think this game is going to be much of a contest. I'm going to go with the Patriots here. I don't think it's going to be much of a contest because if the Patriots can establish their run game and get that through, I think it's going to be a pretty easy win from there on. And I don't think the Chargers have the run defense necessary to stop the Patriots, or to be honest, even the pass defense. So I'm going to go with the Patriots here. I don't think this is going to be a very close game. I do think it's going to be a blowout, unfortunately. But regardless, it'll be a fun one to watch. So our next game, our 3 and our 6 seed in our AFC, I do think this is the most fun wildcard game out of all 6 games. This is one that I'm really looking forward to. And the reason is because it truly can go either way. But we've seen that Josh Allen and the Bills have done an excellent job being one of the best teams in the NFL. But now they have to overthrow the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the issue with that is this team is one of the hottest in the NFL. We have Trevor Lawrence. He has clearly improved over the last several years in his ability to run quick plays. And we have our Jaguars defense, which is very much capable of, I think, keeping Josh Allen off the field. And that's what this game is going to come down to, how well the Jaguars defense can perform. Because as long as we can keep Josh Allen off the field, I do think the Jaguars have the potential to win this game. And the way that Jacksonville has been playing recently with other teams, I do think that they have this capability. And I do think that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a lot of time with the ball. The Jaguars are going to have more time of possession because our Bills defense I haven't seen great improvement in the Bills defense over the last few weeks. I do think as much as Josh Allen has the capability of pulling off a great win in this matchup, I just don't think that the Bills defense is there yet. And there's always two sides to the game. So I'm going to have to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars on this one. And next we have our Texans versus Steelers. This is a really easy one to decide. I'm going to go with the Texans here. The Texans defense has been very, very strong. And when we've seen the Steelers win, it's primarily been off of low scoring games. And I don't think that's going to be a case in this matchup. I think that the Texans have a higher QB ceiling than Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers do. So for that reason, we're going to go with Houston. And now we're going to go over to our 2 and our 7 seed matchup in the NFC. We have the Green Bay Packers playing at Chicago against the Bears. And, being a Packers fan, as much as I want to select Green Bay in this matchup to win, I don't have faith in the Green Bay defense. And to be honest, neither do I in the Chicago defense. So to me, this game really comes down to offense. And we've seen Caleb Williams in all high pressure situations pull off some of the best throws that we've seen in the NFL this year. And I don't think that Jordan Love and the Packers are going to be able to do that. Jordan Love hasn't played last game. We don't know how he's going to be. We don't know if he's going to get all the practice that he may need to. So I think in this case, the Bears would be a more reliable choice here. I think their special teams is more reliable than the Packers game. And to be honest, the special teams might be what it comes down to. It might come down to a punt return. It might come down to an extra point. We never know. So I do think that this game is going to be a really fun matchup, Saturday Night Football, but we will just have to see. And I do think I will go with the Chicago Bears in this matchup. And now we're going to go over to our San Francisco 49ers against the Philadelphia Eagles at Philadelphia. And this one's going to be a fun game to watch. I do think that the 49ers offense is great. and I do think the Philadelphia defense is great. I don't have so much faith, though, in the Philadelphia offense and in the 49ers defense. However, what I think this game comes down to is whether the 49ers run defense is going to be capable of limiting the Philadelphia Eagles to having as many third downs as possible. And the reason is because we've seen, like, repeatedly, the reason that a lot of third downs arise is because of choices to run the ball on first and second downs. And right now, in terms of third down conversions, the 49ers are first in the league, having the most third down conversions, and the Philadelphia Eagles are nowhere near that. They haven't been nearly as good in terms of converting on fourth down. So although I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be able to limit the 49ers to third down, I don't think that it's going to be as much of a problem because of the way that the 49ers offense has established themselves. I do think that the 49ers defense does still have the capability of limiting the Eagles offense to third downs. And especially because the Eagles offense isn't as strong as it used to be. And considering the third down completion percentage or conversion percentage, I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one. Among, Brock Purdy being one of the hottest QBs in NFL right now, scoring at, throwing many different touchdowns in many different games. I believe it was over 5 touchdowns in his last 2 games, aside from the game against the Seahawks. So we've seen the level at which he can perform, and I do think he's going to continue that into the playoffs. And now we have our Rams versus our Panthers. Los Angeles at Carolina. So west to east coast. I do think that this isn't going to be a hard game to decide. I do think it's going to be close, but I'm going to go with the Rams. We definitely have seen more notable playoff experience with the Los Angeles Rams as opposed to the Carolina Panthers. And I do think that the Rams' passing game is at a much higher level than that of Carolina. And I don't think that Bryce Young and the Panthers are going to be able to keep up with it at the level that Matthew Stafford is going to be able to. And for that reason, we're going to go with the Rams. And so we have our wild card matchup set, and we will now be moving on to our divisional round. We have the Houston Texans at the Denver Broncos. And this is an elite Texans defense, one that we haven't seen in a while. But the Broncos here are a rested team, 14-3 record. They have shown what they're capable of doing in terms of offense, and I don't think that that's going to be a threat to the Texans offense, but I do think that the Texans defense will not be able to keep up with it. Whereas I do think that the Broncos defense is going to be able to keep up with the Texans offense. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Broncos here. And I do think that Bo Nix is going to show us what he's capable of doing in this game. He's definitely showed us in the regular season, but I don't think that that's going to change moving into the postseason. And now we have our New England Patriots hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, like the wild card round, I do think that the most fun divisional round matchup is going to go to the Jaguars-Patriots game. Both of them are Jaguars games, actually. The earlier one was Jaguars and Bills. But this is going to be a close one. And I do think that the Patriots are going to come out on top because we've seen the Patriots coaching style, and I do think that coaching style is more suitable for the playoffs than the Jaguars are. I do think that the Jaguars QB, Trevor Lawrence, is more prone to late game mistakes. And speaking of mistakes, I think the penalty count for the New England Patriots, they have had one of the fewest amount of penalties in the NFL. I believe top 5, somewhere around that. Whereas Jaguars have had one of the most number of penalties in the entire NFL. So I think that's going to be a factor on things like pass interference and just really stupid calls that give up 10 or 15 yards. That's going to be another boost. And that's honestly applies to a lot of these games. Some of them really do come down to penalties in the third or fourth quarter. But I think that because of the gap here in this game in terms of the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars, the gap in the number of penalties total, I do think that's going to make a more significant impact than it has in the other games. So that's why I'm taking the Patriots here. 6 versus 1 seed, 49ers at Seattle Seahawks. This game is pretty much just going to come down to JSN. The Seahawks wide receivers, I think that they have the advantage in our one-on-one wide receiver DB matchups. And that's the reason why I think Seahawks are going to take this game. It's a rematch of Week 18 to determine the number 1 seed. But I do think that the Seahawks offense, is at a pace that the 49ers defense cannot keep up. Unlike the Eagles offense, which was at a pace which the 49ers defense could keep up, I don't think that's going to be the case in this game. And in addition to the Seahawks offense being where as established as the number 1 seed, 14-3, I do think that their defense can keep up with the pressure that Brock Purdy and the offense has out on the field in this game, especially coming off a win from the Eagles, which may be even considered an upset. They are going to be one of the hottest teams in our divisional round. But the Seahawks defense where it's at, I wouldn't be too worried about that. I think they're going to take care of business at home against the 49ers. And we have the Rams at the Bears. I think this one is also going to be a really fun matchup. But I think what it comes down to is which team can maintain the longer offensive drive. I don't think the Bears have shown us throughout the regular season they've been capable of maintaining these long drives. I think a lot of games, and especially one that I especially remember because of the Packers losing, Packers Week 16 against the Bears, we've seen that Caleb Williams has been able to deliver in high-pressure, late fourth quarter situations. But that's typically been a drive that's lasted like 3 or 4 plays. And those things don't happen often. And especially in the game from the first to the third quarter, you can't really play like that. That's way too risky. But I do think that the Rams, where they've been at, the teams that they've played, the experience that they've got, I think that they are going to be able to take care of business. And they will be able to beat the Bears to advance to the conference championship. And that being said, I don't think that the Bears defense is where they need to be at to stop the Rams, to stop Matthew Stafford, to stop Puka Nacua. I think these are players which are not going to struggle in front of the Bears defense. So that it's definitely going to be a fun matchup to watch, but I'm going to have to go with the Los Angeles Rams. And we head over to our AFC Championship game. We have our Patriots versus the Broncos. 2 very good defenses, 2 very good offenses, and I don't think that this game comes down to necessarily one-on-one matchups or QB ratings, but I do think this game comes down to the offense as a whole, as opposed to their defense. Which offense, because both of these are absolutely insane offenses, but which offense is going to be more explosive during the first half? Which offense is going to take those risks and capitalize on them? Not only do I think the Patriots are going to take more risks, but I do think that they have a higher probability of capitalizing on them. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Patriots in this game. I do think that Drake May will have, and the Broncos coming off of a bye week in the wild card round, they will have only played 1 game before the AFC Championship game, whereas the Patriots will have played 2 games before the AFC Championship game, the wild card and the divisional round. The wild card against the Chargers, divisional against the Jaguars, 2 very different teams, getting experience. And for that reason, I do think that they're going to be more explosive, more aggressive coming into this game. And I do think that game is going to go to New England, and I do think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. And moving over to our NFC, we have the Rams versus the Seahawks. 2 excellent teams. This is the game that I think could really go either way. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. It may even be something like a fumble, something like a kick return. And it's really hard to decide. We did see this game during the regular season where the Seahawks were able to win off of a 2-point conversion. Um, and I think that what's going to happen during this game is I don't think it's going to be that close. I do think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be that close. Um, Again, I hate to use JSN again as our example here. In terms of who has the bigger advantage in this game, but I will have to use him. He is capable of handling um any type of Rams defense, any type of formation. And I think that that is going to be essential in this game because we do have two great quarterbacks. I would say I have more trust in Matthew Stafford rather than Kirk Cousins, but I wouldn't necessarily say that I have more trust in the Rams defense over the Seahawks defense. And considering that the Seahawks offense has been great so far, I don't think that the Rams defense is going to be a challenge for them moving into this game. So I do think that they're going to take care of business at the NFC Championship. And this means that we are going to have a rematch of Super Bowl 49. We are going to have the Seattle Seahawks playing the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. And, unlike the other games the Seahawks have played in the playoffs against the 49ers in the divisional and the Rams in the conference championship, going back to JSN here, I don't think that JSN is going to be a challenge for the New England Patriots because the Patriots have historically shown this season, and I think they will continue to show it in the playoffs, that their defense has the ability to scheme against versatile offenses, such as that of the Seattle offense. And for that reason, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So what I do think this game is going to come down to is mainly one factor, is it's going to be who can win the turnover battle. And for me, that answer would be the New England Patriots. I do think that they have a greater capability of causing turnovers, forcing turnovers, being able to recover the ball than the Seahawks. I do think that they are going to bring more high pressure into this game, such as how they would have done against the Denver Broncos, young QB, and I think Drake May is going to be our MVP this year. And I do think that the New England Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl. And so here is our playoff bracket. Here's how I think it's going to turn out. Again, this is going to be a wild card. This is going to be a divisional. This is going to be conference championship, and this is going to be the Super Bowl, followed by our Super Bowl 60 winner. So thank you for watching, and feel free to check out the rest of my channel for cool, interesting stuff. Have a good one.